Okay. I think we got it going. Just doing a impromptu live check-in just to see how everybody's doing with this extra solar energy and cosmic energy that's coming in. It's been kind of wonky. A lot of people got to see the northern lights really far south, which was a beautiful, beautiful thing and was definitely on my list of things that I hoped to see in my lifetime. Um, but with that being said, they were also a very telltale sign of how weak our Earth's shields are. Um, so I and several other people that are grid workers immediately jumped in and started working toward the efforts of putting the shields back up. And I'm thankful that we did. And an easy way to gauge that was that the next night, the aurora was supposed to have been seen even more prominently and brighter all across the United States, especially. And no one very far down even saw them at all, which was a very good sign that we had done our work and protected the earth and put its shields back up and the people of earth. When I say protect earth, I'm not necessarily talking about earth per se, because earth is always going to be here. It's the people that we protect. It's the people that we mean when we say we are protecting the earth. We're shielding the people. Um, there's a lot of potential issues that could have came with this level of a CME, which was a level 5, also known as a cannibal, right? It's a cannibal CME. And that's because there's more than one blast headed at Earth at the same time, and they typically will catch up with each other and pancake, which makes the impact of it on the Earth even more severe, which can cause Carrington level events. And for those that are not familiar with Carrington events, you can look that up on FEMA's website. Go to fema.gov/Carrington event, and it'll pull it up for you and explain exactly what it was. But the short version is that back in the 1800s, when we had this level of a CME hit the planet before, at that time, our communication capabilities were at the level of a telegram or a telegraph. And so we had all of these telegraph poles, and the poles were hit, all of these telegraph poles, by the solar flare energy. Um, and it literally fried them. It caught them on fire. It messed them up completely, knocked out what they thought, knocked out communication. Um, and bridges that were wooden, it caused them to catch on fire. Um, Several people were injured from like flash sunburn type of events. And so, in today's modern technological age, if we were to get the same type of an impact, it would very potentially wipe out our grid, which is a pretty big deal. However, with that being said, let me just back up to the part that I just commented on, saying that they thought that all of the communication was knocked out because of this event. But there are people on record that will tell their story as they were still sending out the telegraph messages and receiving telegraph messages as well. Because when this solar energy hits the earth, it's a huge burst of this wireless Ethernet that we tap into to get wireless communications and satellites to work and things like that. And so it was actually still working without the equipment that they would typically use. And so I want you to keep that in mind if the grid does go down because of something like this, or, even an EMP attack or something, or an EMF attack, same thing. Um, that communication can still happen provided you believe that it can. Um, much like my vacuum cleaner worked before my daughter plugged it up because I thought she had already done it. We can connect to that energy, okay? Even if that plasma energy is not acting like it's on steroids in your particular area, to where, say, your cell phone would still send a message, provided you have the tools and the faith in yourself and your own connection to the Ethernet, you could still communicate and reach those people that you need to contact, um, for safety, or to let them know that you're okay, or whatever the means of it would be. Um, and that's what I aim to teach people in the classes that I offer on my website, is how to use those abilities so that you don't have to be worried or fearful of the power grid going down if that should happen. Also, if you would like to become a grid worker and a true light worker in that sense, then I offer classes for that as well. I actually have some going on right now currently, and some of you may have noticed a few of the small inserts that I have actually uploaded to YouTube for my class to be able to play back and practice with activating the shield and saying the tribal tones and stuff. So, if any of you are interested in that, I encourage it. I absolutely encourage it, and I would applaud it, because the more grid workers we have to do this work to help stabilize the poles and the dipoles and the core of the planet and the shields of the planet, the better off we are all going to be getting through these changes, because this is a cyclical change that's happening. We can't stop the fact that it's upon us. The only thing we can do is to lessen the effects. And that's what I teach to people in these classes, is how to use your own abilities. And just like in the movie, the Avatar movie, um, what was the little boy Avatar movie called? It wasn't actually called Avatar, because that's a different movie. It's the little boy that is is he an airbender? Is that the name of the movie? The Airbender? But it teaches you the elements and how to work with each of the elements. And, depending on who you are, depends on um, which element you're going to be able to work with the easiest and the fastest. And once you can master that one, then you can move on to being an avatar of the other three elements. And of course, as well, the spiritual element, the fifth element of tapping into your psi abilities, which is really what everyone needs to learn first and foremost, is that we truly are more powerful than we've been led to believe. Um, and I just did a really beautiful interview tonight. Mike and I had an interview with Augie Nost, from Broadcast Team Alpha and the Mastermind um, think tank. And it was a really lovely conversation that actually went into how children in our future, we both see that children in our future will be taught from a very young age just how intuitively gifted we all are. And so if they're taught from a young child to embrace that and hone it, then rather than having indoctrination, we are handing them empowerment from a very young age. And of course, with that would come, um, mental um, discipline, and uh, how to focus and how to use discernment on when and where and why and how to do whatever. But it was a really, really great conversation, and I look forward to you all being able to see that tomorrow as soon as I get done with all the editing. We actually had some solar energy interference, and I kept getting dropped out of Zoom once in a while. So, but we made it through it, and it was a really great interview. I think all of you are really going to appreciate it. And little teaser for you, he actually has a cool device that helps an individual person to time travel and do different cool things. So, and he does a demonstration on that. So that it was a really neat interview, and I look forward to talking to him more in the future. He's a really interesting, intelligent, philosophical man, and it was a real pleasure for us to speak with him. So, hi, how are you all doing? Like, chat with me in the little chat box over there and tell me how you are. How's this energy doing with you? Are you feeling really tired? Are you feeling irritated? Are you feeling excited and rejuvenated? Are you having ringing in your ears? Lord, everybody in this house is experiencing ear ringing right now. Like my little kids keep coming to me and saying, Mom, my ears are doing this and this and this. And I'm like, I know, it's solar energy. It's you hear it. Matter of fact, even on my security cameras, when you turn them on, you can actually hear the static electricity energy in the air that normally is not present on my hella good security cameras. Like typically you don't hear static, but you can actually hear it crackling. And it's so wild, to be able to audibly hear or even visually see, like with the auroras, the power and the magnitude of the energy that's coming in. And yes, it is upgrading us. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's a hell of a ride sometimes and can be quite detrimental to our modern technology and our way of life, which can be a very dangerous big deal thing. The inner cities, the suburbs, where people don't know how to survive without these beautiful, upgraded modern versions of life, you know, they wouldn't survive very well. Dissonance would dissonance, dissonance. I don't remember how to say the word. I'm getting tired. It's late. Dissonance. Anyway, where you can't use toilets and flush toilets properly and keep your hands clean properly and things like that. That'll be a very big deal for inner city people and suburbs and stuff right away. That's going to be a big deal. And then, of course, food supply. If you're not prepared, you don't have like 3 months worth of food stockpiled, which most people don't. Um, the food is going to be a big issue next because there would be a lot of looting and a lot of robberies and, just really like people get ugly when they get desperate. And so we don't want those things to happen. And that's one of the big reasons why it's so important to keep the grid up when Earth can't do the job. And right now, there's a, a lot of different factors that's preventing the Earth from being able to do her job. The Atlantic current is almost at a dead stop. Greenland just put out a warning the other day about that. If the Atlantic current stops moving, that means for North America, flooding all along the East Coast because of ocean rise. People in the UK across the pond, they're going to see a lot colder temperatures than they're used to and a lot more rain than they already get. So, that's going to change the way they can grow crops and have food and things like that. And so it can turn into a pretty big deal pretty quick if you're not prepared for such things. And, that's just one of the many things that's going on Earth right now. If you watch this YouTube channel called World of Signs, every single week they gather video footage from around the world of all of the different things that are going on, good, bad, and ugly. And the majority of it in this past year alone has been pretty detrimental, particularly like in India and China and the Philippines. Like they are getting a lot of flooding and landslides and monsoons that they're not used to. Like everything is on steroids right now, it seems like. And, the big hurricane that we just had that clobbered Jamaica and parts of the Caribbean and Cuba and, you know, all those different areas. It was devastating for them. Um, and of course, that's another thing that as an avatar you can do is to help lessen the effects of those hurricanes or tsunamis or earthquakes or anything that's happening on the planet. As long as you're apprised of it, you're watching for those things or in communication with others like you that uh, can forewarn so that you can prepare and do something about it. And that's really what I would love to put together is a team of people that can work on those type of things. And just as soon as I have enough people that go through the courses to learn the grid work, we're going to be doing that. So if you want to be involved in that, definitely go to the website and sign up for these courses. We start new ones all the time. It's never too late to sign up. We don't have set dates for, the next enrollment or whatever. Um, I get a few people and we just run with a class. So please be sure to check that out if that's something that you feel called to do. Because the more of us, the better. We're very powerful in numbers. Somebody's saying something here. Athena. Taking it very slow, spending more time in nature and with the earth. Yes, 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 yes. Very important to just take it slow, spend more time in nature, just keep yourself grounded, stay hydrated, even because all of this extra, like statically charged energy actually dehydrates us. I don't know if anybody has noticed that you feel a little more dehydrated than normal, or a little more thirsty than normal. And that's why. And even like the dizziness that some people feel, that's because of the dehydration that's happening. So definitely stay hydrated and stay grounded, taking it as slow as you can and staying hydrated and grounded and just breathe through it and be calm. That's like the best thing you can do for all this wonky ass energy, um, because it is heavy at times for all of us. I mean, I'm not getting out of this unscathed either, guys. Um, so I just have to like take a minute sometimes and go sit on the grass and meditate and breathe and feel the air and just stop, just put everything on pause. And I went through a few days of feeling like I didn't have enough sleep. I was actually sleeping longer than normal and waking up feeling absolutely exhausted. And then all of a sudden, after 3 days of doing that, I literally could not sleep all night long, like all night long. I didn't lay down until 9:30 the next morning to try to rest. And I only slept for 3 hours, which is completely unlike me because I need a good 6 hours of sleep or I'm a mess. But and then I went all day the next day, no issue, on 3 hours of sleep and being up all night the night before. So this energy has my circadian, how do you say that? Circadian rhythm. I told you I'm tired. All messed up. Mercury retrograde's got my brain and my wording messed up. And I mean we're all feeling it for sure. We're all feeling it. I've been forgetful. I'll go to walk to a cabinet or to the other room or whatever and forget what I was going for. Way worse than normal. So it's been all over the place. And I've been drinking things like thyme tea also. Cheers. Which actually has thyme floating around in it. It's kind of strange. I should have strained it or something. But I was like, what the heck? Chewing up the thyme would be good for me, right? It's just not always fun to have floating around in your mouth. But it tastes really good, especially if you put some honey in it. But yeah, I've been trying to like eat more fresh, live fruits and vegetables to help me feel more grounded, meditating more often, taking those pauses, those quiet moments of a break, even if I don't meditate, breathing through every situation that feels a little chaotic, because I know that with everyone else's going through this too, that sometimes people can tend to be a little snappy or take things wrong, especially with Mercury being retrograde right now. People can definitely misunderstand communication and take things wrong. I had a fellow do that actually earlier when I was talking to him on my Facebook group about um, the earth changes and the auroras, because he's absolutely convinced that the auroras that we saw weren't true natural auroras, that they were created by HARP, which I know HARP can do. I mean, I'm fully aware of that. I'm a conspiratorial researcher, I know a lot about those things, but we also have to not always go to the conspiratorial parts of things. We need to use discernment, and we need to be educated and informed about what's really going on with planet Earth, with our solar system, and everything else around the world, so that we know when to actually be like, okay, this is a true conspiracy, someone's conspiring, and when it's nature. Like, you need to know the difference. And regardless of which one it is, a grid worker is not defeated just because it's technology that creates such a flux in the Earth's magnetic shield, or um, you know, HARP created weather modification, technological created thunderstorm or tornado or hurricane, right? And we know that such things can happen, even earthquakes. They can create an earthquake, they can cause it with certain EMF frequency that they use. Um, but that doesn't mean that you can't lessen the effects of it just because it was created by their technology. And it's important to know that. And it's also important to know which one it is so that you know how to work with the energy that's coming, because you're not necessarily going to use the same thought tools or visualization tools, if you will, for um, a man made destruction that you would use for a natural destruction, because there's other elements that would go into it. Like, for example, with a hurricane, you have to understand the barometric pressure and the wind currents that will either increase or decrease a hurricane. And so if you're understanding those basic fundamentals of how a hurricane is created, then when you're dealing with something from nature, you know to add the cool air into the top, um, raise the barometric pressure so that it can spread out and the eye can be less controlled and compact. You want it to be chaotic, in the eye, because that makes the whole thing's inertia lose its strength, and then it can dissipate. So if you understand those type of fundamental facts that go with how things are created, such as a hurricane or a tornado or whatever, then you know what type of elements to work with to lessen them. But if it's HARP technology, then you've got different beams of energy that are typically triangulated at one specific target area to create the hurricane, the tornado, or whatever. And you would have to do a shielding rather than just the weather stuff. There's things you got to add to it in order to dissipate it and be successful. Because otherwise, the beams of energy that are coming at it could override what you're trying to accomplish, just because they're still putting the in the programming of it, if you will, to create this event. So there's different ways to deal with that to deflect it. But um, he was hell bent that this is not natural stuff and that it's just conspiracy, HARP did it. things. And my eldest son actually came to the same conclusion immediately when he saw the aurora. So, and everyone has the right to their own opinion. Absolutely. I didn't try to convince my son otherwise. I just told him what I felt like was the truth of it, and I left it at that. And we are very good at respecting each other's opinions that way. So there was no long-winded debate or fallout or anything from it, because we're both very good at giving each other space to have our own opinions and our own thoughts on things. And a lot of times we typically come together and come to the same conclusion. So it works out good. It's a good relationship. Um, but yeah, definitely staying grounded, staying hydrated. And for me, the whole sleep thing has been off the charts weird because, I mean, I'm a typical night owl anyway. I usually work till 3 or 4 a.m., and that's no big deal for me. And I go to sleep and I'm up by 9 and it's all good, right? I start my day over. But not so much this past week. Not so much. Like this is Friday. And until this morning, when my daughter reminded me that it was Friday, it didn't even feel like Friday to me because this week has just been really messed up just because my sleep rhythm is different, which is weird. So I thought I would check in with everybody, see how you're doing, see if you want to talk about it. Um, ask questions, give advice, whatever you want to say, you know. I welcome all of it. And thank you, by the way, for complimenting the channel and saying that you like the channel. And did I read that right? Did you say you're from Africa? Yeah, Africa. So, what are your experiences with this solar energy? Are you like visually seeing anything in Africa? Um, do you hear static in the air? Because I know that's an area of the world where we have the huge magnetic anomaly taking place. So I'm really curious how it's affecting Africa. I would love for you to share that. I would love to know because um, that's part of that science side of me that really wants to understand how the shields being down are affecting the stronger magnetic or weaker magnetic areas of our planet, and that huge magnetic anomaly that's happening in Africa right now, that's actually due to the whole magnetic pole shift thing that's, working its way toward a flip. So I would be very interested in knowing um, what you're noticing in the atmosphere or in your climate or anything, any kind of changes that you're noticing. I would love to know about it because I feel like it's directly correlating with this extra solar energy that's coming in that's affecting everyone. I would absolutely love to know. Let me just check something real quick. Okay. I hope I'm still like running smoothly and all because it's telling me that my bandwidth is unstable. So if I'm freezing up for anybody, please let me know. And I love your name, Athena, by the way. I really love that name. I love the name Athena and I love the name Freya. They're like two of my most well, and Tatiana. Three. I have three really favorite female names. But I love names. I love all names. But yeah, I really, really love Athena and Freya and Tatiana. Okay. So yeah, if anybody has anything they want to say, if you want to talk to me, I am all for it. It is officially 1 a.m. in the morning where I'm at. What time is it where you are? Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else I really want to like add to things you could do other than breathing through it and staying grounded on the earth. Well, actually, yeah, speaking of breathing, there's been a lot of people that are experiencing heart palpitations because of all of these fluxes of solar energy. So that's definitely something to breathe through, and also to not necessarily be alarmed about. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not telling you don't be concerned about heart palpitations if this is something that continues. However, with that being said, if it's not something that normally happens for you and you are suddenly feeling some totally painless palpitations once in a while, check in with your breath. And if breathing more fully, slowly, and deeper helps to settle your heart rate back into a good, steady pattern, then likely this is something that is being caused from the extra solar energy that's coming in. And a lot of people don't understand that because we are electromagnetic, particularly our brain and our heart, that when electromagnetic energy comes into our field that's extra, we are going to physically notice it and hear it. That's the reason that you have the ringing in your ears, or the dizziness, or the headaches, or the need for rest, or feeling extra energy, or the heart palpitations. You're going to feel it in those places because we are electromagnetic. So naturally, we're going to feel that energy. Um, so kind of keep an eye on that too. And of course, don't be alarmed, you know, regardless if it's a health issue or not. Don't be alarmed because we want to approach things from a calm perspective. The more calm you can keep your body in any situation, heart attacks included, the better. And I know this because my mother had several heart attacks, and I was present for three of them and helped her to breathe through them to lessen the effects of it. And it went much better for her than in the other events where she was, alone and afraid and panicked, which is understandable, you know. Um, but in any situation, the breath, focus on the breath and where it's at, because that's really going to help you and your body a lot to get through things. All right. Well, I don't see anybody else chatting in the chat box. And I know it's late for a lot of people, um, myself included. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here. I thank every one of you for joining me. I appreciate you greatly. And yeah, who knows? I might pop in for another spontaneous live show sometime soon because I haven't been doing very many of those lately. So I'll see everybody again soon. Stay well, stay blessed, stay in the light, keep shining. No fear. We got